Omar lived a life of simplicity and justice that before becoming the Caliph, Omar was known for his luxurious lifestyle. Indeed, Allah commands you to render trust to whom they are due. One evening, as Umar was working in his modest home by the light of a single lamp, from the lavish lifestyle of a royal to the humble servant of the people, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz's transformation is a testament to the true meaning of leadership. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, the Islamic empire stretched from the farthest corners of North Africa to the lands of Persia. Despite the vast wealth and power under his authority, Omar lived a life of simplicity and justice that won the hearts of both Muslims and non-Muslims. Before becoming the Caliph, Omar was known for his luxurious lifestyle as he belonged to the royal Umayyad family. However, when he ascended to the Caliphate, his demeanor changed entirely. He took his role as a servant of the people seriously, understanding that leadership was not a privilege, but a responsibility. One evening, as Umar was working in his modest home by the light of a single lamp, a servant entered to ask him a question unrelated to state matters. Umar immediately extinguished the lamp and lit another. The servant, puzzled, asked, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, why did you extinguish the lamp?" Umar replied, "The oil in this lamp belongs to the public treasury. It is meant for the affairs of the state. Since your question is personal, I cannot use the state's resources for it." This small act reflected Umar's deep sense of accountability. He believed in the Quranic principle. Indeed, Allah commands you to render trust to whom they are due, and when you judge between people, to judge with justice. Surah An-Nisa 458. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz also established welfare programs, abolished oppressive taxes, and ensured that justice was accessible to all, regardless of their status or religion. Once, a Jewish man came to Umar with a complaint about a Muslim governor who had wronged him. Without hesitation, Umar investigated the matter, found the governor guilty, and removed him from office. He reminded everyone of the Prophet Muhammad's words, "The most beloved of people to Allah is the one who brings the most benefit to others." One of Umar's most significant reforms was his effort to return stolen lands and properties to their rightful owners. He even returned a plot of land that had been unjustly confiscated by his own family. This act of fairness demonstrated his commitment to justice over personal or familial ties. He would often remind himself and others that leadership was a test, and he feared the accountability that awaited him in the hereafter. During his caliphate, Umar took great care of orphans, widows, and the needy. He issued instructions that every orphan in the empire be registered and provided with regular support. It was said that under his rule, poverty diminished to such an extent that it became challenging to find recipients for zakat. One day, Umar was traveling through the countryside when he encountered a widow sitting outside a simple hut. Her children were crying from hunger. Umar approached her and asked gently, "Why do you not seek assistance from the Caliphate?" Unaware that she was speaking to the Caliph himself, the widow replied, "The Caliph has forgotten us. We have no one to turn to." Umar's heart broke at her words. He immediately returned to the treasury, gathered food, supplies, and firewood, and carried the heavy load himself. When his companion offered to carry it for him, Umar replied, "Will you carry my burden on the day of judgment?" He stayed with the widow's family until they were fed and content. Before leaving, he revealed his identity and assured her that her needs would be met. Umar's rule was marked by his ability to transform society in a short span of time. His reforms not only benefited Muslims, but also non-Muslims, who were treated with dignity and fairness. A famous incident highlights his commitment to inclusivity. A Christian man, unable to pay his taxes due to old age and illness, appealed to Umar. Instead of demanding payment, Umar ensured the man received financial support from the treasury, stating, "It is unjust to take from him when he can no longer earn." Another remarkable story involves a letter Umar wrote to his governors. In it, he reminded them, "Your responsibility is not to build palaces or accumulate wealth, but to establish justice and take care of the people. Fear Allah in your dealings and ensure fairness to the oppressed. Do not let the fear of losing your position stop you from doing what is right. One of the most profound effects of his governance was the eradication of poverty. In some regions, there were reports of zakat collectors struggling to find eligible recipients. This was a testament to the equitable distribution of wealth and resources under Umar's administration. Despite being in a position to amass great wealth, Umar lived a life of simplicity. He often wore patched clothing and avoided indulgence. His wife, Fatima bint Abdul Malik, who was from a wealthy family, also gave up her jewels to support his vision of justice and equality. Umar's focus was always on fulfilling his duty to Allah and serving the people. One evening, a delegation of tribal leaders came to Umar to discuss issues of governance. They expected to find him in a grand palace, but instead, they found him in a modest home with only basic furnishings. When they remarked on his simplicity, Umar replied, "The greatest treasure is not gold or silver, but a heart at peace with Allah." Umar's nights were often spent in prayer and reflection. He would frequently pray for guidance and forgiveness, asking Allah to make him a just ruler. It is narrated that he once said, "If I could ensure that even one bird in my empire was not hungry, I would consider my rule successful." Another incident that illustrates his humility occurred when a poor man came to him with a grievance. Umar listened patiently and resolved the issue, treating the man with the same respect he would give to a noble. When the man realized he had been speaking to the Caliph, he was astonished. Umar smiled and said, "In front of Allah, we are all equal. My responsibility is to serve, not to rule." During a time of famine, Umar took extraordinary measures to ensure that no one went hungry. He ordered the granaries to be opened and personally oversaw the distribution of food. He also reduced his household's consumption, stating, "How can I eat my fill when others go to sleep hungry?" One of Umar's lasting contributions was his focus on education and knowledge. He established schools and ensured that teachers were fairly compensated. He believed that education was key to building a just and prosperous society. He once said, "Knowledge is a light that guides us to the truth and keeps us from oppression." Umar also worked to improve agricultural systems, building canals and wells to ensure that water was accessible to remote areas. These efforts not only increased crop production, but also improved the living conditions of many communities. Farmers often praised his leadership, saying, "Under Umar's rule, the land yields more because it is managed with justice." Towards the end of his life, Umar fell gravely ill. Despite his condition, he continued to govern with the same dedication and fairness. On his deathbed, he gathered his family and advised them to remain steadfast in their faith and to serve the people with sincerity. He reminded them of the verse, "Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you." Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13. When asked how he felt about meeting Allah, Umar replied, "I am at peace, for I have tried my best to fulfill the trust placed upon me. May Allah forgive my shortcomings and accept my efforts." Umar passed away in 720 CE at the age of 39. His death marked the end of one of the most exemplary periods of Islamic governance. Though his rule lasted only 2.5 years, his legacy endures as a shining example of what it means to lead with fairness, accountability, and compassion.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Quranic Journey to Islam for more videos like this.